Well, have you ever been curious about those who reach the top of the career ladder from those who do not? Well, our next guest did. She did, and then after a 3-year study, maybe 4, as I just found out, wrote a book and is now sharing some of those secrets. Dr. Jude Miller Burke is the author of The Millionaire Mystique and joins us right now. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, Diana. Thank you for having me.
How did you happen to decide that that was the subject that you were going to study?
Well, I'd been a career woman for about 20 years. I worked at Honeywell locally for 10 years in North Minneapolis, and then worked at United Healthcare Optum subsidiary for another 10 years, and ended up moving to Phoenix, Arizona, to a wealthy suburb. And I met so many people who had overcome adversity, poverty, child abuse, sexual abuse, and they went on to overcome these obstacles and become really successful. And I thought, the economy's gotten harder. There's a story here that needs to be told. And I myself kind of found my way on my own and paid for my own college education and went from job to job. And I thought, there's a lot of guidance here that I could give people in the book to help them.
You found certain specific traits, though, that all of these millionaires seem to have. What are those?
Very much so. One of the primary personality traits is conscientiousness. This group was highly conscientious, and these were all self-made millionaires, men and women. The book's primarily about women, but the men also gave their advice to women. So their personalities were conscientious, extroverted, and their work styles were one of being very dependable and thorough and organized. And their leadership style was very transformational. They really engaged all of their employees and really helped paint a vivid picture of what the future would be.
But if somebody's watching at home and they might not be an extrovert, is this something that they can learn, or are there certain things that this book will help them that maybe, so if they're not an extrovert, maybe they pay attention to details and they have, some other things that they do. Is there a way of working around that to try and see and make the same success?
Very much so, and I'm an executive coach, and at the end of each chapter I have specific advice, and some of the leaders were introverts, they're not all extroverts, but each chapter has specific advice on how to overcome obstacles, how to deal with those detours, and understanding that failure is a part of success. And this group, on average, 50% of the time they had failures in their careers, and many, many had detours, and a lot of the detours for women had to do with childbearing and child rearing. So I have all kinds of self-assessments and tips for people to utilize to really help themselves in their careers.
And is part of your story in this book as well?
It is.
Excellent.
The publisher made me put my story in the
Okay.
book. So yes, my story's in the book. And I came from rural Minnesota. And it was a little bit like Dorothy going to the Emerald City down in this wealthy suburb of Phoenix. And I thought, how did all these people get to this beautiful place? And I found that many of these people have others' best interests in mind. And these were not silver spoon people. These are people that came through hard knocks and they really want to give back to other people. So the book is chock full of advice on how to become successful.
Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. We wish you all the best. This is
Thank you.
just a couple of days after it was
Yes,
released, so thank you
yes,
so much for
yes.
joining us.
Thank you.